Welcome back, YouTube. It has been a while since I've done one of these training and life update videos, and I was surprised just how many of you guys have been asking for this style of content. But a lot has changed over the past year, and I'll be sharing a lot of that with you today. So we're gonna go to the gym, get a full workout in, I'll break that down for you and fill you guys in on what's been going on. I came to this realization the other day that I put a lot of unrealistic expectations on myself, and maybe you do the same. But for example, these kinds of videos were things that I was doing 10 years ago when I first started YouTube. Sat here in the car, driving on my way to the gym, and then I'd go through my workout, and that was it. And I loved that. And then somewhere along the way, I guess I started getting a lot of success with my YouTube and content in general, and I started overthinking things. And I started getting into my head where I would have this fear of doing anything that was a fail, and it started to limit me because I started to play it a little bit too safe. These kinds of scenarios, they would put a lot of this extra pressure on me, self-imposed of course, and as a result I started playing it more and more safe, and I felt like I was being a lot less myself on social media, and I wasn't comfortable sharing as much of what I do. And there's a big issue with that because it really limits your ability, or my ability anyway, to create and put yourself out there. Like, even if you're not a creator, if you have this constant fear of failure, or fear of messing something up, or fear of trying new things, it limits your ability to go out there and try new things. And the only way you're going to get better at something is if you start, for one, and then start making all these mistakes. So instead of thinking of things as having to always be perfect and be a banger every single time, I was thinking, no, I'm just going to start doing this stuff again, and I know it's probably going to suck, but it's going to get better over time. And the only way that's going to get better is if I just keep doing it, and most importantly, as long as I enjoy it. And this is the kind of stuff that I really do enjoy doing, and that I used to really enjoy doing. Because seriously, how many more bench press tutorials do you guys really need to see? Because I mean, that's the state of YouTube, isn't it? It's like you either go down the point of giving endless tutorials, of rehashing the exact same shit, or you go down the route of all these extreme challenges, like watch me eat 50,000 calories a day, or watch me train like The Rock for a day. And look, some people love that kind of stuff, but that's just not my jam. I can create that, but I wouldn't enjoy doing it. So why force it, right? Just because it works, and that will be playing it safe, doesn't mean that it's a good idea for me or for you. So that's where we're at. I want to be creating a lot more of general training content because I genuinely enjoy training and talking about lifting, talking about what I'm doing with my training. That's it. Like, I'm always going to do some of the deeper dives into the biomechanics or the anatomy or some of the nerdy stuff as well, but I don't want those styles of content to limit me producing a lot of stuff that I really love doing, which is just getting in the gym and training and talking to you guys about it. These have been feeling absolutely fantastic the last few months. But you know what happened last week? I was doing seated leg curls, and I was leaned forward over the top of the bench, had my arm braced against the pad like this, and I was pulling down really forcefully to lock myself in. And I felt like I strained, or maybe even tore my pec again, and it really freaked me out. It's not torn, but I definitely did pull something a little bit funny, just being in that awkward position and pulling downwards. So I've been a little bit more extra guarded this whole week, and a little bit easier on the loading in, because I wasn't sure. This was going to be the real litmus test of if I did any real damage the last week. Thankfully I didn't, and it's completely fine. I really love this dead bench though, because it's a very honest way to press. You can't cheat or bounce your way out of this. You're going from a complete dead start. You see, I even do a hand release or a complete relaxation on most of my reps to dissipate any of that stretch reflex that you can get, where you sort of rebound or bounce and get extra energy stored from the lowering components. It's a very honest way to build just that pure, raw pushing strength. You don't need to do this on blocks. This is all I've got available here, but most gyms will have like a power rack. I'll set the safeties up, have it just off your chest, and go from there. Other things to note here are I'm intentionally not controlling the lowering phase much at all. I'm almost dropping it because I don't want there to be any stored elastic energy. The way that you would slowly stretch out an elastic band, I don't want any of that to help me on the way back up. I want this to be a pure pushing power strength movement. You will find because of that, you're significantly weaker than a normal bench press. So I'll start maybe between 20 to 30% lighter than what you would normally bench press and do that to begin with, and you can always go up from there. So you'll see a little bit of a trend in how I like to structure my workouts now. I'll start most of my sessions with something explosive, sometimes lighter as well. I'm very plyometric in nature, like you saw the medicine ball throws today. And then I'll normally move on to some kind of pure strength movement, where I'm not necessarily maxing out, but the goal is to build my top end strength. And then something like this is more typical hypertrophy, muscle building, slow and controlled, moderate weight, pushing close to failure to really stimulate muscle building. And then I have some kind of accessory work, which will vary up depending on what I'm training on that specific day. And then I'll also have a mobility component, which normally comes at the end, but today I'll be doing the mobility work now. There are so many ways that you can look at training for mobility. Just like all training, there are very few harsh rules that you must follow, and more so we're looking at broad principles, which can be very adaptable to how you want to interpret it. For example, for mobility, I could be doing a very long duration stretch. What we're doing here though, is we're doing an exercise that loads up that stretch position and taking extended pauses there for about 3 to 5 seconds. So I can accumulate across a set, maybe something like 20 to 60-ish seconds of time in that lengthened position, which should be enough to create some change in my overall shoulder mobility. This is obviously a lot more intense than me just doing a nice shoulder, chest stretchy kind of thing, so I can't do this as frequently. Whereas if I was doing a chest shoulder stretchy thing, I could probably do that daily. Which one should you choose? It really comes down to how you want to balance these components. Something like the ring fly, very complex, very intense, more trauma to the muscle, maybe more of a stimulus for growth and strength and coordination as well though. But again, can't do it as frequently. But all of these things will fit somewhere into a program that may or may not be well suited for you. And this is where it's so important to not just blindly copy exercise that you see people doing, but try to understand where do they fit into the model of exercise or workouts or program design, how to fit it into your own plan that's suited to you. One of the most popular questions that I get from you guys is all around how to design your own program, your own workouts that are suited to you. If you guys want some more content around that specifically in a follow-up video, just let me know in the comments below and I'll pull something together. My chest feels absolutely done. Although it's supposed to, because that's what I've been training today. Let's see how we go. Can I get one more? Or will my chest rip off the bone? I did it. Okay, so we have the upgraded Katana extension. For some of the long-term followers, you remember about 6-7 years ago or so, I coined the term Katana extension for a cable triceps overhead extension. Specifically, I called it that because it mimics the action that Deadpool would take to unsheath his katana or his sword from the back of his body. Although, as correctly pointed out by many people, real samurais wouldn't be wearing their katanas on their back. They would wear them here by their hip, their hilt, I don't know, whatever the word is. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about what this exercise is and what's so good about it. The upgraded version, well, the regular version first, is just like this, extending overhead. Fantastic exercise. The upgraded variation, see I switched hands now, I'm resting my upper arm on the support post here. And this is kind of like a preacher curl, like a preacher bench for your biceps, preacher bench for the katana extension for the triceps. More stability, more ability for your triceps. Little setup detail I should give you guys on this before I get too fatigued is note where the cable is set around my hips or my waist. That means that when I'm about this point here, in terms of elbow bend, the cable is furthest away from my elbow, which increases the resistance on my triceps. So this is when everything's stretched out, and this is when it's hard, and this is why I can't now complete the rep. But what we're trying to hit here is we're trying to make the exercise really challenging when the tricep muscle is completely stretched out or around that lengthenish kind of position. If you set the cable too low, you won't get that same effect, and it'll be a lot easier in the bottom position. So you want to really stress out that stretch. And this comes back to the mobility thing as well, okay? Because what we're getting here is that weight is pulling me into a deep stretch and really overloading that deep stretch, which just feels also amazing on this entire line through the whole back of the arm into the shoulder blade.